is a list of the top 20 values. So if you were to Google, this is the top 20. Now, I told you earlier that I do in my exercise, we have you look at 100 and then have you take it down to the 10. And then I have you, pick it and then tell me a story where that value shows up, because it's cementing that value in your head. And then we narrow it down to 5. It's a very, very powerful exercise. And I don't know how many people have done that recently, but I really encourage you to really think about your values and how they show up and what's the story behind them. But if you were to look at this list right here, which one stands out for you? Like if you were to pick one right now, what's the one that jumps out for you? And put it in the chat. I'm really curious. There's always one that does stand out. Loyalty, integrity, love it. Authenticity, curiosity, justice. I love that. Love that. Okay, these are good. So imagine taking that big list, spending time, because I'm going to encourage you to take a moment out of your time and go and think about your values and try to nail those down to the top 5 and ask yourself the why, but also I want you to tie a story to it. Where did that show up? I want to hear that story to that value. And what's happening is as you're doing that, you are now becoming much more comfortable and confident in who you are. Because once again, all of us here online right now, all of us have 5 different values. So all of us uniquely are showing up. And the question is, if we had the names of them, if we knew them, and we posted them, like I always make people, like once you do it, put it on a card. So it's by your computer every morning. It's in your bathroom when you're getting ready in the morning, you're looking at those values. I am telling you, you start to show up very differently. You start to bring your presence because you're kind of falling in love with yourself, to be very honest with you. You're like, I'm kind of cool. Look at me. These are my values. This is what I stand for. This is where it shows up in my life. And this makes me different than everybody else. Yeah.
Erin,
Yes.
Lisa is asking a question. She wants to know if you want us to tie stories to these values that we can share in interviews, or just tie them to personal stories of our lives.
Actually, I would say both. So that's a great question. And especially if you're interviewing, you want to find those stories, right? And then they do help you from a personal sense and a career sense, help you to catapult your career, right? But also, and I tell many of my clients this, I always tell everybody, start building out a story arsenal. Your story arsenal is so important because let me tell you, story is key for everything, for interviews, for when you're doing a presentation, for when you're in a conversation. Your stories is what pulls people in. So yes, for your values, if you have a great story about, let's say, integrity, right? And you have a great story and somebody in an interview asks you about your values or asks you, how would you deal with that situation? You have that story because I have integrity. And when that happened, I had the same thing happen. And you have that story in your arsenal. So yes, I want to see you use it in both ways. Does that make sense, Lisa? Fabulous. Yes. Yes. I love stories. So again, I highly recommend doing a deep dive for yourself and let's find out what your values are. And yeah. And I love this exercise. And I'm telling you, it is extremely motivating and transformative to people when they realize it. Yeah, it's really incredible. So I encourage you to do that.